Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. Hello, hello. Welcome. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're having a great week. Let me know that you can see me and hear me okay. Welcome, welcome, everybody. I got something right there. There we go. James, good to see you, sir. Clint, awesome, Clint. Mike, AT, Mr. Hershey in the house. What's up, my friend? Ramiro, good to see you. Welcome. You guys let me know that you can see me and hear me okay. I would appreciate it. There's Max and Sunny Irvine. Good to see you, Max. Alan, welcome. Max, I don't know, did you get some of the fog up there today? We've had last 24 hours down here in San Diego have been crazy fog and delayed the flights coming in here, but seems like it's clearing up now. So welcome, Alan, Chris, Friday, that's right. Steve, good to see you, sir. Awesome. See and hear me fine. Great. Hey, what's up, Sean? Yeah, fog early this morning. Yep. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to Office Hours. If this is your first Office Hours with us, these are pure Q&A. I have no agenda for you other than to try to be helpful. So you can type your questions into the comments, and I will generally take them in order. I'm also going to put an invite link in here into the comments. If you want to join me on camera to have a conversation about anything, or we need to share screens or anything like that, then you can do that through that link. That link will bring you backstage, and then I'll give you a little warning before we put you on camera. So you have time to put some clothes on, things like that. Welcome, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. So for those of you, if anybody is on here that does not know, we have a new community site. So our online community has been hosted on Circle for the last, I don't know, a couple of years or so. And we have now, in the spirit of making sure that we're eating our own dog food in every way that we can, we are now hosted on HighLevel's community site, community technology instead. So we have migrated over there, and we will be shutting down the Circle environment here really quickly. So if you're not in that new environment, if you need any assistance getting over there, you should be able to, if you're in Circle, you should see links that say, hey, here, go sign up for our new community. If for any reason, though, you're having any problems with that, please email us at help@servicesthatscale.com, and we will make sure and we'll get you set up in there so that you don't miss out on our great community and the conversations that are happening there. And I'm impressed with HighLevel's community technology. They've definitely made a big investment in that here in the last 6 months or so, and are really pushing aggressively to compete head on with, the circles and the schools and things like that. So, so we're jumping in there and using that. So make sure that you jump over there if you have not already done so. Jeff says, first time caller, long time listener. Awesome. Good to see you, Jeff. David, good to see you. Mike, awesome. Good. I love it. Thank you, Mike. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Let me know any questions. You can go ahead and type them into the comments. In the meantime, I am going to pull up our HighLevel group here. And I will see if we have any questions in there. Looks like we still have some questions being posted in Circle, so I'm going to make sure that we address those here quickly. All right, so let's see here. Recommendations for a business bank account from David Singer. David, you know what? I am so anti the banking industry. It just seems like one of the oldest, most outdated, most ridiculous models still. that, for the most part, right, that you have these, banks with these buildings all over the place, tying up all kinds of our cash in real estate, paying us little to no interest, or even charging us to have our money with them. It's a ridiculous model. So I am definitely trying to be a little bit progressive in finding, finding the newer, all online banking service providers and things like that. Mercury Bank is definitely a real popular one in the startup community now, and it's a bank that started 100% online. Everything about it is online and app based, and has all of the user interface and stuff that you would kind of expect from a very current, savvy business in terms of their developers. I am new to it, but it seems really nice so far. And then the other thing that, and I still have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all those, but I look forward to one day potentially not having those. And then the other firm that I'm using more and more of is called Wealthfront. And Wealthfront isn't necessarily, actually, I don't know if technically they qualify as a bank or not, but you can do all kinds of investment through them. And so one of the things that I do with them is I just have an individual, just a cash account. So I'll take the cash from my Wells Fargo's and my Bank of America's that don't pay me squat, and I'll move it over to their cash account. And it's seamless. They have a really nice integration between any of those traditional banks. And then you can do things like IRAs and things like that through there as well. I've got just stock investments that I'm doing through it. And it's nice because it just gives you an app on your phone that you can see all of your accounts. I can see my accounts with Wealthfront. I can see my accounts with Wells Fargo, Bank of America, my individual investment portfolios, my Coinbase accounts, all that stuff. I can see all in one place. So you can see, essentially your financial status across the board. Again, I don't know that they technically qualify as a bank, but that individual cash account that I have with them does have and two, you do have the ability to, at least a limited extent, wire funds, send payments, do some basic, transaction stuff through there. So maybe that combination of Mercury and Wealthfront might be something you want to look into. I do think that there's still value in having a good old, Wells Fargo account or Chase or Bank of America or something like that, just because, ATM access and some of the things that you may work with have integrations with those banks that may not have integrations with other banks yet, stuff like that. So kind of a pain in the neck, though, and an industry that I'm definitely not real high on. Richard is asking, is ConvertBox still recommended? So in in our agency, HighLevel agency fast start program, I have the welcome mat service that I talk about. And I talk about using ConvertBox to be able to create nice, fast opt-ins on any website. I love ConvertBox. I'm a huge fan of it. I have been a huge fan of it. If you are using HighLevel now, you probably do not need ConvertBox unless you're going to use some of the more sophisticated features of ConvertBox, which I've got to be honest with you, in the years and years of using it, I'm not really taking advantage of any of those sophisticated features. There's always the real sexy features that get built into these tools that everybody claims to want, but I think maybe a fraction of a percentage of people actually use. I want to be able to build a sophisticated survey in my opt-in that's got all these dynamic variables and intelligence built into it and all that. And then it's like, yeah, but if you just put an opt-in form that just says first name, email, phone number, it converts 30% better. So I haven't taken advantage of most of those features. If you are not going to take advantage of most of those features and you are using HighLevel now has built in 90% of the capability that you're going to want. I should say 100% of the capability that you're going to want if you're a typical user. 90% if you're looking for more of that sophisticated stuff. So potentially you could still want ConvertBox. Again, I think if you're using HighLevel, it's probably not necessary for you. Still, though, or excuse me, I should say, the other thing that I would mention about ConvertBox. So my There San Diego site, I've just had a total pain in the neck last 2 months or so with that site getting hacked repeatedly. And so I've had to do, our team has done a migration of the site, all this type of stuff to really try and clean things up. And I do actually think that ConvertBox may have been the vulnerability that hackers were getting through on, it turns out. So not 100% sure on that, and don't mean to throw mud on them or anything like that. Like I said, I've been impressed with the software for years now, but it does seem like that might have been the way that the hackers were getting in. So just something to investigate for sure. Let's see here. One second here. Sorry, gang, just tracking down questions in the groups here real quick to make sure I answer these. A. Richardson asks, services for smaller chain stores. Just wondering if you have any services you can offer smaller retail chain stores and restaurants, Subway, dollar stores. Currently, I'm thinking of online reputation management with Google Review and social media reviews, but is there any other valuable service that you have offered that I can incorporate into my business service offering? So A. Richardson, if these are large chains, even though the individual stores are small, if these are large chains or franchises, things like that, I mean, I would only put so much time and energy into trying to sell these services to them, because while it can be a home run, it can, obviously, if you get a big franchise or something like that, that you can then scale out to all their locations, that's great. But usually, those smaller, usually those larger franchises or corporate owned businesses like that, they are, one, difficult and slow to sell to, and two, the systems that they need, they're probably developing something proprietary. They may use your services for a little bit to test some things, but then they'll have their technology group, actually develop something that they're going to use long term. So I would just be real careful with that. But if you had an independent, retail business, yes, absolutely. Reputation, I think citation work. So, doing anything to just keep all their information up to date in the search engines. And of course, you can resell the service I always forget the name of that's baked into HighLevel, but you can just resell that and keep things up to date. I think miscall text back can be a big one. I think the AI, the voice AI inbound could be a really big one for those businesses. A lot of them are, they're taking phone calls, but they're really not staffed to be able to take phone calls anymore. Those businesses are getting more and more financial pressure on them. And so they have less and less employees in the store. So when those employees have to pick up the phone while they're also dealing with the cash register and dealing with customer questions and things like that, it's very difficult. So having some AI capability there could be really big. Building up their list, I think particularly their SMS list, can be incredibly valuable and something that many of them are not doing at all. So those are all things that I would consider just off the top of my head. Let's see here. Ryan says, handling social planner account expirations. Wondering how everyone is handling the 60-day expiration on social account connections for clients. Up to this point, I've been getting full access to client social accounts, so I can log in and reconnect every 55 days, but this doesn't feel scalable, and some accounts have 2FA, which requires us to pay the clients. Ryan, that's a great question. I don't know of any solution around that. That's a good one. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to see if there's anybody that's come up with any answers to that, because I do not know. Let's see here. Good. I see people active in the new community. That's great. And see if there's any questions in here I need to answer, but I see a couple gentlemen that are on the call here waiting. So I'm going to jump over there and let some of you guys on. 1 second here. Oop. Sorry, gang, just logging into 73. Okay, cool. Let's see here. A.T. Williams. Ready?
I am. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thank you. How can I help you today?
Yeah, so I noticed or I think one of my problems is, so I work full time in IT, and it's a decent job. So I think that's kind of like kept me from being as motivated as I could be. Where like if I didn't have a job and I had to get food on the table by Friday, I'd have more hustle. But one of the things that is kind of a problem as well as working full time is how do I find the time to meet with prospects and do sales? Should I just try to just sneak them in between meetings at work, or how can I do it in a structured way so that I can ensure that I'm consistently still trying to get prospects into my business?
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, so what I have typically done in the past where I'm in a tight schedule scenario like that is I just find whatever is the dedicated hour or whatever it is in my day that I can put on the calendar, and I will send people to my booking calendar to book a time to meet with me, and that will be the only that hour will be the only slot that's available. And so I'll just kind of force people into that slot as this is when you can talk to me, because if you keep it just open and you try and adapt to every prospect's schedule, it will probably get a little too crazy for you to be able to do your job and do that at the same time, versus if you just say, hey, I know at lunch every day between 12 and 1 or 12:30 and 1:30 or whatever it is, I can do some prospect calls. I would just carve out that time on the calendar and just force people into booking into that time on the calendar.
Okay.
Um, so that's the way that I have approached it, and I still to this day approach it. Like my calendar, there's very few slots that I ever keep open for sales calls. I just force people into it. So that's probably your best bet. I think then if you can manage any sort of time on your calendar where you're doing something kind of like this, though, like a group call, so that any prospects could get on, can ask questions, things like that, where you could handle multiple people at the same time. That would be ideal as well. You can make it, pitch it more of like an educational hour, an office hours type of thing that like I'm doing here, where you're going to do maybe you've got 5 minutes of some education and training that you're going to do at the beginning of the call, so that way prospects can join in, they can hear from you, they can hear some ideas from you on things that they could be doing at their business, and then it's open to Q&A. You could do that type of thing as well. So those are probably the two things I would consider. I mean, obviously, if you have any service that you can sell without the sales call, then great. You can just have them go straight to signing up for something. It's just that's pretty rare, and certainly
Yeah.
as you're getting started, that's usually tougher.
Okay. And then as far as time goes, so I'm free after like usually 3, but at the latest 4. Do you think it's okay to meet with prospects after that, or do you think like 5 o'clock is just a don't reach out to people after that?
No, I don't think that there's hard rules about it. And in fact, when I've been selling to small businesses my entire career, I've often found that the best time to reach decision makers is like 5 to 7 p.m., 6 to 8 a.m., those types of things, right? Because those are the times that owners business owners and people who are really responsible for the business are oftentimes getting stuff done, because during the normal hours of the day, that's when they have to just keep up with the day. And then they're like, okay, now I need 2 hours where I can actually crank through some of the work that I was supposed to do that I didn't get to all day. And so that's oftentimes when you'll catch them at their desk doing stuff. So no, I would at least give it a shot. I mean, not everybody's gonna, opt to want to talk to you during those hours, but some people are, in my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So I'll just leave those slots open on my booking calendar. If somebody takes them, then they're available.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, give it a shot. It's interesting. I was just telling somebody recently. I always think back to the Harvard story that I tell about the guys that I was selling to in Boston, and they said anytime after 5 p.m. That was the only time they would meet with me, because they would not let me interrupt their priorities during their operational day. They wouldn't let me take any of their time during the day for a sales call, and I respected that. So it was anytime after 5 p.m. we can have that call. I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, that's normally when we head to the bar, but that's good.
Yeah. All right, cool. I think that covers it. I appreciate it. And now I got a little clarity around how to best approach it, because I think that was my biggest thing holding me back was, when will I have the time to meet with these people with my current commitment? But I've,
Yeah.
I've actually been lucky to, I've made it through, I don't know, I think like 6 or 7 layoffs.
Oh
Eventually,
man.
your card is going to get pulled. So I want to have
Yeah.
something that I own that I can fall back on.
Yeah, good for you. And the earlier you get that started, the better, because while you've got a paycheck, if you can get through, one of the things that almost you see people underestimate so much is that it takes that 90 days or so to get good momentum, and there's just so much stuff you have to figure out. And if you start prospecting and talking to people, they're not nobody's sitting around just waiting to buy from you on day one. It's usually a 30-day sales process or something like that. So the sooner that you can get that momentum while you still have a paycheck, so that the day that you decide, or unfortunately if somebody else decides for you that it's time for you to go, if you can have that momentum already established, that's a huge, huge benefit to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. All
All
right,
right. Thank
AT, keep
you.
me posted. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, no problem.
All right, bye-bye. All right, let's see here. Bob says, first time caller. Welcome, Bob. Um, let's see here. Oh, and then AT asks, how do you rebuttal a prospect who wants to do social media for them but don't have the foundational systems in place? Man, uh, I I just I would not. I mean, what I would respond to them is, hey, I would hate to invest a lot of time and energy and your money trying to do something for you where I know that the benefits are not going to be as significant as they should be, because we're missing these foundational things that are needed to support that effort. And then explain to them, here are the things I'm referring to. If we do all this hustle and there's no way for people to get in contact with you reliably, or to opt in to join your newsletter, or whatever it is, then we're doing all this hustle without being able to convert it. And if they don't get that, and they don't see the sensibility in making sure that they have a solid foundation, honestly, I just would choose not to work with them. It is one of the more painful but important lessons that you can learn, particularly when dealing with small businesses. Is there a lot of small business owners out there that are just not, I don't mean to be mean, but they're just not that smart about how they're going to run their business and the choices they're going to make. And they are very often then going to think that, hey, if I can just throw a small amount of money at you, it should be your problem and you should make everything at my business work better. And then when you don't perform those miracles, then it makes you look bad, and it's just such a frustrating waste of time and energy. So I would personally, I've learned, I just, if I can't get a prospect to see eye to eye with me, if we don't value the same things, if they don't seem like a mature and competitive business owner where they want to win and they want to make the investments that are necessary to win, then I move on. It's just not fun. John says, Mike, I've chatted with a few small business owners, but they already have systems. Systems is still worth positioning, go high level. So, John, I think so. Depending on who you're talking to, in particular industries and things like that, you may need to tweak that language a little bit. It's incredibly, language is so incredibly important in sales because certain words mean things to, different things for one person in one industry and another person in another. And so you may need to tweak that language. And I absolutely recommend that you experiment with that and whoever that you're selling to, because, there's no reason why you have to be married to that particular word. That being said, I would make sure that you are investigating what it is that they actually understand of that word. Try and open up that conversation with them and try and get them to try and make sure that there is a meeting of the minds as to what you're actually talking about when you say systems. Again, recent conversations, I know there can be a lot of pushback to the word systems by some people, because what they think is I've got to, to some extent, what we're going to ask them to do, right? I've got to invest in a new technology. Lots of businesses have technology burnout, right? I've been sold on all the latest and greatest software that's going to change my life. And the reality is I have a bunch of software I'm paying for that I don't really feel like I'm getting the full benefit from. And there are things that I have to learn. I have to train my employees on another new thing. So that word may be triggering in them, some of those responses. And so I would just, like I said, try and find some of these prospects that you can have a conversation with and open that up a bit and say, hey, when would you mind, articulating for me a little bit more what you mean when you say you have systems, and just explore that a bit. But yeah, you definitely don't have to be married to that word for sure. John also says business banking. I recommend Novo. Cool. Not familiar with them. Mike, we're launching a newsletter. Any reason to do it on WordPress rather than inside our sub account? No, a newsletter, when you say do it on WordPress. So to me, at least, WordPress is, it's a website technology, website hosting. So when you say that you're launching a newsletter is typically in email. So I'm not sure that I know exactly what you mean there, but I think that my answer is still the same, regardless, which is there's no reason why you can't just use HighLevel to launch that for sure. Oh, cool. Awesome, Dave. Welcome. Welcome, Alan. John says, is it common for most small business? Oh, gotcha. We already talked about that one. David says, Quicken Rocket Money. Cool. Alan says, I have a database that I want to import and use across 3 sub-accounts. What's the best way of doing this to set it up correctly on the initial import and share the data? Alan, I don't know. That one's tricky to me, at least the way, at least with what you've communicated so far. The reason why I say it's tricky to me is because if you're importing databases, and you're planning on using them across 3 different businesses, it sounds to me like the contacts that you're importing would not have any knowledge of the fact that they're getting used by 3 different businesses, or I don't know if it's 3 different businesses for those 3 sub accounts. But so there's going to be some canned spam stuff there that you got to be careful of, 1. And then 2, if I understand what you're talking about, like if it's just contact information, I would just take that, assuming it's a spreadsheet, CSV file or something like that. I would just upload it into the first sub account, upload it in the second sub account, and do the same for the third. You're not going to have synchronization of that data beyond that, between those 3 accounts. So, but there's no reason why you can't just take the same spreadsheet and just upload it into 3 different sub accounts. So maybe I'm missing something here, Alan, but let me know. Let me know what you think there. Doran says I got an email from there San Diego pitching Viagra. Great. Yeah, like I said, we got hacked. King says, is there a course on the AI solutions and how to sell them and use them? If so, what is called? What is it called? King, I have not developed a specific course around that. It's all brand new, right? I mean, all the AI stuff is brand new. That being said, we have developed some research assets, some marketing materials, things like that we are loading up into our high leverage agency program. High leverage agency is essentially where we put everything. It's our complete sales, marketing, and business system around this whole space. So we will be loading everything up in there. Probably be sending that out this week. But other than that, I don't have like a separate course for that, and probably won't for a while. I mean, AI is so brand new. I'm personally very skeptical when I see people saying, we've got the AI, course, and I'm like, what? AI is like just getting out there. Darren says your training is terrific. Thank you, Darren. I'm working through the first couple of modules you recommended. The question is, do you have a module that covers the implementation of snapshots and creating workflows? Okay. Yes, I do have training, Darren, in high leverage agency for sure. I'm not sure exactly where you're at, but in high leverage agency for sure on how I structure workflows and use naming conventions and things like that, which is all incredibly important. What I don't have is real detailed technical training on the features of HighLevel's workflows and how to think of them and how to use them. I mean, there's so many and they're adding new ones all the time. That kind of technical training is not something that I try to keep up with or want to try to keep up with. The way I get that training is by watching their YouTube videos, or I just jump into HighLevel and start playing around myself. So the far majority of my training is going to be around strategy, sales, marketing, team structure, team organization for operations and execution. That's where I feel like I can really add value. Not that I don't understand how to use the workflows, I certainly do, but I just feel like there's already just YouTube videos out there for that, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So, but I do have, like I said, training in at least high leverage agency, but maybe in Fast Start or the Services that Scale Foundations course. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, where I cover workflow, general workflow organization and naming convention and stuff like that, because that is incredibly important. Just kind of best practices around how to think about that stuff. If you don't see that, Darren, please feel free to email help@servicesthatscale.com. I'm happy to get you that at least my presentation on that, and send it over to you at any point. So just like I said, just email help@servicesthatscale.com. Say I'm looking for Mike's training on workflow, best practices in organization, naming conventions, and I will make sure I get that to you. Okay. Oh, some good questions in here, gang. All right, here we go. I plan on going hard on outbound with phone burner. Cool, to get momentum. I'm currently working through agency sales funnel bootcamp. Once that is set up, it's on with the outbound. All right, I like it. What does it take to master cold calling? What is your top tips in regards to scraping leads, setting up phone burner, and what volume would you suggest for someone wanting to go all in to master it? Wow. Okay. My first tip would be, if you're using HighLevel, I would suggest that you do not use phone burner, is my guess, is that, and this is a change, but I think that you should probably use Kixie. And I love phone burner, so I think that it's a fantastic software. So it's not really that you can go wrong with phone burner. It's just that Kixie now, I think, does everything that you're going to be looking for with phone burner, and it's completely integrated with HighLevel. So in fact, I've got a call with them later on today. These guys were at the HighLevel Summit, and I talked to them there. And then, like I said, I've got a call with them today as well. it seems, like I said, to do everything that you're going to want to do for phone burner, but it's completely integrated to HighLevel, and I think it's probably cheaper. So I would recommend that you take a hard look at Kixie before you go all in on phone burner. Okay, so that's one. Let's see here. In terms of best tips and strategies on how to master cold calling. So one is that your list that you're calling on is incredibly important, the quality of the list and that data, so that you don't have to spend a ton of time researching. And the reason I say that is a lot of people, the way that they cold call is they go, okay, I'm going to sit down and do 30 minutes of research on this prospect before I pick up the phone. And next thing you know, they've made 12 phone calls in a day. And 12 phone calls when you're selling to small businesses is nothing. I mean, that the only way that 12 calls is valuable if you're calling small businesses is if you are calling on businesses that you've probably already had some previous interaction, conversation with, and this is just a follow-up thing, right? If you're doing true cold prospecting and you're calling 12 businesses in a day, the numbers are never going to add up. Okay, with a Kixie or a phone burner, you can get that volume up to 300 businesses a day that you're reaching out, making contact with. Now, when I say reaching out, making contact with, you are not going to be talking to 300 people a day. You are going to be dialing 300 people a day. You're not going to reach 90 whatever percent of those. But what Kixie or phone burner is going to do then is going to have some automated follow-up that it's going to start. So let's say you call that number and you don't reach anybody. Instead of you leaving a voicemail, you're going to have a pre-recorded voicemail, and Kixie or phone burner is automatically going to leave that voicemail for you. So Kixie phone burner will be spinning up the next call while it's automatically leaving that voicemail. So it just, really just increases the volume of activity you can get done. And then it's automatically going to shoot an email to that prospect, maybe an SMS, depending on all the things that you have set up, saying, hey, David, I just left you a voicemail. This is Mike with such and such, hoping we can connect on 1, 2, 3. You don't get a response to that. It's going to send another email 2 days later, another email 2 days later, and it's going to reschedule some follow-up calls for you in the system. So it's going to take all this manual effort that is normally present with doing cold prospecting, and it's going to just automate the heck out of all that stuff. And that is critical. I mean, the most important advice that I could give you is just to use those tools, because you will be infinitely more productive using those tools, and you will not waste your time on doing all the administrative overhead of, okay, now I've got to remember to send an email to that person. Now I've got to schedule my next follow-up task. Now I've got to, all that stuff's just going to happen automatically for you. So it's going to turn you into a machine. And then in terms of the calling itself, so once you get actually, reach somebody, I've got training for you that is in, a number of my different programs. But first thing is to understand very, very clearly that whoever you just called really probably honestly hates the fact that they accidentally picked up the phone and are now talking to you. That's our first response. It's like, oh shit, why did I pick up this? It's, a salesperson, right? I thought it was my Uncle Bobby calling from whatever. And, so I picked it up, and it turns out it's a salesperson. They're annoyed that they are wasting their time with you. So you've got to be direct to the point, and you have to have a process for handling what we call brush off objections. Okay, brush off objections are when I get David on the phone, David realizes the salesperson, he goes, oh man, you know what? I don't have time. Thank you very much. That's a brush off. I haven't even listened to anything you have to say yet. I've just identified you're a salesperson, and boom, I want to get off the phone with you. We already have that taken care of. Somebody already does that for us. Those are all just brush offs. Okay. You have got to have an approach for getting through the brush offs that you just do automatically without even thinking about it to keep that conversation going. Okay. I'll tell you my approach. My approach is 3 steps. First step is to agree with them. Second step is to restate the value proposition. Third step is to ask an open-ended question to try and keep the conversation going. Okay. So it's just automatic. 1, 2, 3, those 3 steps. So that will keep a lot more people on the phone. If you just let somebody just get off the phone by brushing off, you're killing your numbers. Okay. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, let's assume now that we actually get into a conversation and they are, willing to engage with us and talk to us. Couple of things. One, you want to have a very clear outcome for that call, and it should be an outcome that you get to quickly. So again, you just caught me off guard. I'm on this call with you. You're not gonna sell me, your marketing systems for taking over the world on this one surprise call. Okay. So your realistic objective is to just, are they interested? Do I have some sort of decision maker on the phone? And is this something that they will agree to continuing a conversation with me more so I can get them more information? That's typically what you're trying to do. Okay. So in that, you can accomplish that just in a handful of minutes. And so almost always the first thing I do is I say, hey, David, I know I caught you off guard. And I'm sure, and sometimes I'll be a little bit humorous about it. I'd say, I'm sure you're thrilled to now be on a call with a salesperson. I get it. But what I give my quick value proposition, and I'll say, if I promise not to take more than just 5 minutes of your time, could I, ask you a couple questions and explain a little more detail what we're doing here, right? So I promise them 5 minutes of time. And then when we get to 5 minutes, even if we're having a fantastic conversation, I will say, hey, David, I promised I would only take 5 minutes of your time. Seems like we're having a good conversation. It seems like there's some interest here. I'm happy to continue if you'd like, but I want to be respectful of your time and the promise that I made to you. If you'd like, we can schedule another time to continue this conversation, right? So I am doing what I can to get to that clear objective, but also being very respectful of the fact that I caught them off guard. Usually, the successful next step on a cold call is to book your next call with them. Again, it's pretty darn rare that you're just going to call somebody up and, oh yeah, now, whip out your credit card and buy something from me right now, right? So the next step is usually just some additional conversation where you're agreeing to, hey, we're going to get into more depth on this conversation. So getting off of that call, you don't want to get off the call without the next step set. And when I say set, that does not mean, yeah, I'll send you my scheduling link. It means, great, well, I've got you on the phone here. Why don't we, take a look at our calendars real quick, just so we can save ourselves some time and all the back and forth. And let's just go ahead and put it on the calendar right now. So you're trying to get that next step set before you get off the call. Those are the most important things. And then taking good notes about your conversation, about their needs that you uncovered, about who they're currently using for X, Y, and Z, and populating those good notes into HighLevel so that you can then schedule your next contact with them. And now you've got better information, and you're going to say, great, I called 1,000 people. Here are the 50 that are actually really clearly deserving of continued effort and maybe increasing effort because they are qualified. They are investing money in marketing. They are looking for something new. And now it's just a matter of time that I got to stay in front of them and convince them that we should be who they're spending their money with. So you got to take those good notes so that you have a good follow-up plan in place. And this is the secret that most people don't really understand about doing cold prospecting, is that if you do consistent cold prospecting for like 90 days using like a phone burner or a Kixie, after that, you should be doing almost no cold prospecting anymore. It really should be follow-up to contacts that you've already filtered out. In that 90-day push of cold prospecting, you're going to get a ton of data. You're going to get a ton of information. You're going to find a bunch of people that are actually qualified, but they're not going to be customers yet. So now all of your time after 90 days, let's say you started with a list of 10,000 contacts. Now you're down to 700 that you've actually had some sort of engagement with or whatever it is. 700, doing real follow-up to 700 prospects is going to keep you busy. Okay. Everybody else should get your newsletter still, all that type of stuff. But doing real follow-up to 700 prospects is going to keep you busy. So now all of your time on the phone should be really spent. How do I get back in touch with them? How do I add value to them? How do I find out how I get myself into their buying cycle? All that stuff. Okay. So the real cold prospecting should just be a relatively short-term push. Okay. I hope that helps you. Clint, you want to come on camera? Awesome. How are you, sir?
All right. I'm doing great. How about you?
Great. Thank you. How can I help?
Good. All right, Mike, I've been getting back into social media,
Cool.
on Facebook, mostly. That's where my target market's at. And so I've got 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first one is actually about your training, your content and training. So I went through and I started looking at it. Is there a way, and it's all great, I just want to have a way of playing it nonstop, just like one training after another. Is it possible to do that the way you have it set up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't think that that's a capability of the system. I like that idea.
Yeah. I first came across you. I was out doing yard work and I was just listening to YouTube, and I came across one of your videos, and that's when I decided to completely change what I was doing.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I want to hear more stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, on YouTube, you could do that by going onto the playlists on YouTube. So I have a digital marketing agency playlist. That's probably your best bet for that kind of, but no,
Yeah.
I wish in our training courses we could do that, but that's not a capability in there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Question number 2. Okay. So I've joined a bunch of local groups on Facebook with my niche, and I'd like to get your feedback on this approach.
Mm-hmm.
So just about every day I go on, I see more web agencies in my niche. There's tons of other people doing websites and marketing for this specific niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of people just saying, "Hey, if you need a website, get a hold of me." And just if I were a business owner in that niche, I think I would feel overwhelmed. Number one, who do I choose? I need a
Yeah.
website. I need marketing. Who do I choose? And also, I think a little annoyed because they're just so oversold. All these people in these niches are just so oversold, in my opinion. So a few thoughts. What is your opinion on what actually triggers people to contact one person or another?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a matter of sheer volume? I mean, is it just they see one person? And I've already got some of my own ideas here, but I want to get your ideas. So that's one part of the question. The other part is, do you think my time is better spent creating content for my lead magnet that I'm going to put on my website and pushing people there, as opposed to browsing through the groups on Facebook and responding to people and answering their questions, but instead build up my own lead magnet on my site and my videos so that I'm educating my niche instead of just going out on social media and answering questions? Or is it a combination of both? What do you think?
I mean, so the answer to both questions is the same, which is the reason why someone chooses you and reaches out to you versus the competition at scale. I mean, I'm not talking about any one individual person. I mean, that can vary, but at scale, it's because they see you adding value in the world and influencing them through that value, which in today's world is generally content. So if there are a bunch of salespeople coming to me and just, bugging me with no value, no value, no value. Those are the people that I just learned. I don't answer their phone, their call. I don't respond to their email. It's all about who am I attracted to, because I'm seeing the work that they're putting out into the world and their personality and the value of their content and all that stuff. And so I'm drawn to follow them and choose to work with them. Just like you said, you saw my YouTube videos and now here you are on a call. So that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And not to say, again, on an individual basis, not to say that doing outbound sales calls or responding to people in the group, with the comments like you're talking about, doing things like that, absolutely, those things can work as well. But if you're saying, I'm looking for the strategic way to differentiate myself in the long term so that I stand out against all of the people who are doing the same just sales tactics, absolutely. It's how do I add value in the marketplace? And that is primarily content. It's not the only way, but in today's world, it's the scalable way and the way that people expect. So definitely focus on content, spend time on content. Absolutely.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought you were going to say. And that's my feeling too. It's when I think of people I've followed, I hear lots of noise. If I'm looking for product and I have a ton of people approaching me, I'm going to be a lot more interested in talking to somebody that I feel like is actually giving me value.
Of course.
So that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. One more question.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one.
Okay.
So, and it's funny that, so my wife and my son actually already have an opinion on this. So I want to ask you what your opinion is here.
Sure.
So there's another agency owner across the valley from me, quite a ways away, but he's in a lot of the same Facebook groups that I'm in, and he targets the same type of clients. So I would consider, and the same type of services. So I would consider us to be very direct competitors. I sent him a friend request because I've been sending friend requests all over the place lately, and I don't really care if they're a competitor or not, but I sent him a friend request. And so he responded to me and said, hey, he said, how can I help you? And I said, hey, I like your work, and I do the same kind of thing over here on this side of the valley. And so he was asking if I wanted to jump on a call to see if we could collaborate. And of course, I know that there's a lot of room for collaboration in fields that are kind of related. Like if he was designing logos or if he was a business consultant, but it's almost like does exactly the same thing that I do. So what is your opinion on, is there some potential benefit that we could get out of collaborating, or is it just do you think it's just going to be both of us talking about what we're doing? And there's, I don't really want to give him ideas that I'm working on, and I'm sure he doesn't want to give me ideas he's doing, because we're competing with a lot of the same clients.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, man, because over the course of my career, I've seen this really change, which is going to make me sound like a real old dog. But when I was first getting started in business, there was no social media, right? And the collaboration, like that word, it wasn't even like like synergy, those words were not really buzzwords in the business, vocabulary yet. And it was always just, it was clear cut. Like if you were a competitor, like I was going to try and crush you and win. And I didn't expect you to be nice to me or anything like that. Over time, some of my closest friends now, my personal friends, are people that I have done business with and are also, at least to some extent and to sometimes a large extent, competitors of mine. A good example, let's say like somebody like a Rob Bailey. I'm having dinner with Rob Bailey tonight. He's a dear friend of mine. But Rob Bailey creates content around HighLevel and training and stuff like that. And a lot of times people choose, hey, I'm going to go subscribe and spend money with Rob Bailey instead of Mike Cooch. And I'm going to follow his approach instead of mine. you know,
Mhm.
we're both in the same field. We have different approaches, but again, he's a very good friend of mine, and we've collaborated. We used to do events together. Hey, you have a different approach than I teach. We could do an event where we can teach both approaches, and people can learn from both of us. And so, there's all kinds of interesting opportunities out there in the world now because of these various business models, affiliate models, referral models, commission sharing model, all this type of stuff that are now much more common. But all that being said, I hate what I would consider the kind of fuzzy bullshit that people do, where like there are people who contact me and they're just like, well, Mike, we should be buddies and just help each other just because that's what people do now, And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. This is still business. We're still both trying to win. And if
Yes.
there is a clear value proposition for how we help each other and how we scratch each other's backs, great. But if that's not clear, if it's not black and white as to how I'm adding value to you, how you're adding value to me, and that is a fair exchange, then hey, let's just be friends or friendly acquaintances. And I'm happy to have lunch with you, but I'm not gonna open up my business to you. I'm not gonna share with you, my strategies. If you're a direct competitor with me across town,
Mhm.
no, I'm not going to do that. So
Mhm.
I think is there a possibility with this guy? There's possibility. It sounds more likely though that you guys are just competitors. And again, maybe you keep it friendly because maybe at some point or another it will make sense for you to just join, maybe something like that, or one of you wants to buy the other one or something like that because you do have such similar businesses. That
Mhm.
could be an opportunity. So there's no reason to, we don't have to be like nasty about it. We don't have to be enemies about it. But at the same time, I prefer that I can just be very direct with somebody and say, hey, look, awesome. I like you, like getting to know you. I wish you all the success, all that type of stuff. But I'm not going to just open up, my trade secrets here when you're just across town competing with me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so, I would try and keep the relationship on relatively friendly terms, but
Mhm.
and find out if there's a fair exchange of value to be had there. But if not, I wouldn't force it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I was thinking on that too. I was hoping maybe you had uh, some some idea that I'd never thought of, but
To me, the only scenarios where those have made sense, especially particularly on a local market basis like that. So with my IT firm, I would be competing against other IT firms in Boston and New York, and I got to know the owners because we're all in the same industry and all that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but the only time that I did any sort of like collaboration with them was, these guys do phone systems and I don't do phone systems. And
Mhm.
so it made sense to me to have a friendly somebody in the industry and say, hey, look, guys, I'll give you my phone system business. But if they
Mhm.
also did work that I did, I would say, but guys, look, I'll refer you this phone system business. But we're going to have an agreement that you're not going to come in and then try and sell your other services, the services I do offer to those customers. You can't come in and undercut me,
Mhm.
or we're going to have problems, right? So we would have a contract that said, here's how this is handled. Um, those are the only types of situations where I found where that kind of collaboration really works.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, good luck.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
Mike.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Thank you for
All
joining
right,
me.
you too.
All
Yep.
right. Kyle, I see you back there. My man, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great. How can I help you?
Awesome. I don't know. I don't never have a specific question. Okay, let me see here. Okay, here's something. So I'm starting to speak with business owners, like restaurant owners, about reputation, like review, like driving reviews, right?
Yeah.
And and one of the struggles, it's no secret with a lot of restaurants, is they don't collect guest information.
Yeah.
Um, and and so but I want to like bridge that gap for them, and because it's not that hard. And so I guess I would love to see if you have any ideas as to how we could maybe bake that into the process. One, One thing I was thinking, because like one of the core pillars of our service, like our whole service, is called the guest magnet method, where we give offers, right?
Mhm.
Give offers, we use coupon tools and we build up the list, whatever. And so, I mean, I could incorporate that into the process and then send, reviews or a review requests to those people, but it's kind of a smaller percentage. I'd rather like help them make sure that they're collecting guest information from more of their guests. And so anyways, any ideas?
I mean, the things that, well, any ideas on how to sell the value of this so that people take you up on it? Or
No, I think like it's a very easy sell. It's just if they're not, so like for example, if they're not taking reservations or they don't have online ordering, that's a pretty challenging place to be when it comes to trying to integrate into their systems and trigger some sort of a review request automation or something like that. And even if they do take reservations, a lot of restaurant reservation platforms are really cagey, and it's like hard to actually integrate into them. And so, I mean, the only thing I've sort of thought to do otherwise is to just get direct access, and maybe that's it. Just give me direct access so that I can go in on a weekly basis or whatever, export the list, and trigger it that way.
I mean, what about, so I mean, the birthday club,
Yeah.
kind of offer makes sense to me, right? So
Okay, so yeah, I think then what the play is to do like drive reviews, but also list building.
I think so. I mean, I think that my guess is that your best bet in getting more positive reviews is by having an offer and then having the review on the back end of the offer.
Okay.
So a birthday club offer, for existing customers that come in, and there's a thing for them to opt in to get their birthday thing, and then they do it. And then right after there's a, hey, leave a review type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I would tie those things together. I think the other thing is Boomerang. I'm a huge fan of theirs. So I think doing that type of loyalty system, we're collecting the information that way. Boomerang makes it really slick to collect customer info. So
yeah, we're using Boomerang for a couple folks. That's maybe it's like I'm just kind of spitballing out loud, like I'm looking for like a really simple service that can be automated. And something that we can sort of charge lower ticket for, and then we can kind of scale up from there or whatever. And
I love the birthday club. I mean, I just think it's so simple. Everybody gets it. Everybody wants to be recognized on their birthday. It works for essentially every type of business. Cheap, easy to execute, easy to automate.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll do birthday for list building, and then back end review generation, automation, and maybe a little loyalty play in there or something.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what would you price? Like, where's your head go in terms of like what that service is, priced at?
I mean, I think the first two you could do it just like a $97 a month, even if you wanted to. I mean, you would have a usage component in there that you'd have to keep an eye on depending on the volume of the business. I mean, you could go that low. If you throw Boomerang in there, then your costs, has to go up just based on their costs. So then you're probably $297 minimum type of thing.
Okay, birthday program, review generation, and loyalty. Boom.
Yeah. And then if you did, you could do an add-on for the automated ads around the birthday club. Like if they wanted to have more of a reach solution, those are easy ads to automate. So
yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Something to consider.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well that's all I got for now.
Awesome, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Let's see here. Kai, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. Let me answer some questions over here in the chat. See, what system do you use for task management, checklists, SOPs to ensure consistent customer experience? AT, we have always used, so I have my training on what's called the process, and it's just using good old Google Docs to create very simple process and SOPs for our team. But, there's some much more sophisticated tools around creating SOPs online now. and there's probably some real benefit to those. And then if you're using like a simple project management tool, like a Basecamp, or even in Slack now, in Slack, you can do checklists inside of Slack. So, and you can do like templates, checklist templates and things like that. To me, so a little bit of a historical perspective here, AT. When I started Everon, my IT services business, I was building it to sell from day one, and delivering IT support and management services to small businesses is complex. You have all kinds of different technology environments and various degrees of legalities of their licensing of their software and all this stuff back in the day, back before everything was SaaS. And so from day one, we were very checklist and process intensive, because I wanted to have a playbook on how to run the business that I could give to a future buyer. So I actually hired a former General Electric Six Sigma process ninja to come and do processes for us as a consultant. He would just come and document our entire business and build a playbook this big. Well, what do you think happens with a playbook this big of processes in a company that's growing 150% a year? Nothing. Nothing. Nobody opens that damn book. The book is dead and outdated by the time it's created, right? So the key is that whatever you're creating has to be very simple, easy to access, easy to update, easy to see output from. It's just got to be simple. It really does. And so I would keep this stuff to a minimum at all times. Like, just how do I make this as lean and mean as I possibly can? And don't overinvest too much into systems until you really feel like you've got it down, right? Like, I would create things just in Google Docs first, and then work to like use them. And okay, is it working? Okay, cool, great. Do we feel like we've got a template now? Is there a more efficient tool to use this to do this now? Should we put it in a Basecamp? Should we put in a whatever? That would be my approach, and just kind of feel it out and just expect AT. It's just a work in progress. You're going to be doing this for a while before you feel like, oh, okay, I've got, my system nailed down. But does anybody know? There's got to be some people on this call that know of like some online to-do list, SOP creation tools, because there's some out there that are just like easy button. They'll just automatically create these little SOPs for you, and you can include little tutorial videos with them and stuff like that to make it all consolidated in one place. Again, I've just always done that in Google Docs. Let's see here. If you come across a solution where calls are automatically transcribed and appended to contact record notes, I mean, HighLevel can do a high degree of that, right? Depending on when you say appended to the notes, that may be a little bit different than what you're looking for in the way that HighLevel handles it. But if you are, if you're doing like a Fathom, so if you use Fathom, what is it? Fathom.video, is that right? Hold on. Fathom.video. I love this service. I think it's fantastic. So this will record your calls, and it will create transcript notes that you can then easily use AI to format in all kinds of different ways. So you can do like that's what you use. Okay. Yeah. So the automatic appending part doesn't do, but it's just, simple copy and paste. So that's my solution. I don't know about the automatic putting of the notes, appending the notes. To me, that's still a manual process, although I'm sure somebody has that figured out. Data sources from an online network that I run. I want to share them across my photography business and then my Think Lead marketing business that I'm setting up. Don't want to duplicate entries, so use tags. Yes, Alan, that is what I would do. This is going back. So if people aren't recalling, this is going back to the question about uploading the databases 3 different times, 3 different sub accounts. So yes, I think that's what I would do, is just use tags to make sure that you are sorting that data properly. Yep. Mike says, yes, absolutely. Mike says HighLevel is offering a week of AI features and sales training for next week. Absolutely. Our naming conventions is becoming an issue. Yes, Doran, you have to use naming conventions when you're setting up workflows and campaigns and things like that in HighLevel, or you will end up with a big rat's nest of stuff. It will become unmanageable. Bob says, can you say a bit more about the onboarding and surge process regarding an entry-level offer? You mentioned in the training that a $5,000 setup fee is not out of the question. What about a low ticket offer? Yeah, Bob. So on a low ticket offer, I mean, the setup fee could be, I mean, 97, 297, 497, that type of thing. And, you know, none of those is a ton of money, but it can make a difference in your financials really quickly. You know, if you're setting up, you know, 5 accounts and you're getting an extra $2,500 for doing that, you know, that can cover some costs. So, something in that you know, range for a low ticket offer. In terms of the onboarding process, I mean, obviously for something that's, you know, these low ticket offers, you just want to make it as automated as you possibly can. But at the same time, I think the biggest mistake, and we talked about this with Clay from Review Harvest, I think he's taking a brilliant approach to this. If you haven't watched that interview with him, you know, he goes all in on that onboarding process, and he just jumps on a call with the customer and just sets up everything live and just kind of, you know, does it like right there on the spot and shows them a lot of love. And it's so important that you consider doing that, because you've got to realize that if you just put all the effort into selling a customer and all that time and money that goes into sales and marketing, and you are not doing everything possible to get that person onboarded and activated successfully, you just waste all that money, because that customer is going to churn. What you do in that first 30 days with a customer determines if it's a 90-day customer or a 3-year customer. I promise, like, that's my experience. So you want to consider, how do I overinvest in the hand-holding in this onboarding? At the same time, of course, being aware of costs, automating the things that you can, so that, you know, you keep it as lean as possible. But how do I make sure that this is a good experience? So if that means, hey, I need to charge some onboarding fees to make sure I can afford to do this, or I'm going to go broke, then that is what it is. And those onboarding fees should reflect that. Kai, my man, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? Good, man. Good.
Good.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love what you were just saying. I just hired, I told you before, I've just got a customer success manager. So the onboarding process. Yeah, I watched your call with Clay as well. He's him and that other guy that you have in your community. You met him at Go HighLevel Summit. I forgot what he's doing. Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, those guys are like, literally, we're all pretty much the same level. So it's super cool to see that.
I love it.
And yeah, I love Clay's like model of just offering the reviews. It's super genius. It's crazy. He's doing like 97. Like, I saw him get on sales calls for like $97 a month. I'm like, fuck, Clay, that's brutal. But I mean, if it works, it works.
It works.
But yeah, no.
I mean, you have to get through that. You have to get through that initial grind, and he's got the benefit of youth, right? And I say that because I think his overhead and his bills are not that big, and so he could just kind of grind through that phase. And that's certainly harder. If, you know, there's people on this call that have three kids at home, and, you know, mortgages to pay and all that stuff. It's harder to get through that initial grind. But yeah, if you can get through that initial grind, man, it's great.
Yeah, he's killing it, dude. It's sweet to see. I just had a question. So where the churn rate is still pretty good, the issue that we're having is still people like, we work with contractors, right? So they're coming in, and it's like, the only way that they're really using the app or anything we have in Go HighLevel is if they're getting leads. So the only way that they're using it is if we can get them reviews and leads, and like, they'll use it to respond to leads. What else can we implement? Because there's 3 things on the top of my mind that would make them use the app outside of it having to be for lead gen. So meaning payment processor, social media marketing, GMB posts. There has to be something, but understand they're contractors. So it's like something where they can use the app that's not responding to leads, I guess.
I would
just don't
focus
know.
100% on payment processing.
Fuck, I was so afraid you're going to say that. That seems like such a shit show. It really
Why?
does.
Why does it seem
just,
like a shit show?
I just think about contractors, how they are now. And I just like, okay. Like, I don't even know. Like I could think of a million different things they would say. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're trying to steal my money. Why do I need a payment processor? Or like, God, my payments aren't working. Or like, I don't know, like tap to pay is not working. I could just see the support going crazy with that. But like you said, I think that would be the stickiest possible thing, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think I understand your concern, but I think that this stuff is so simple and works so well now that I don't think you're going to run into that many problems with it, as long as there's some basic training, on how to use it. But I think that the thing is that once, because those guys are so bad with money management, it's terrible, right? So as soon as you show them, hey, we can start filling your bank account, you're missing so much money. We can start adding more money to your bank account, not by having you do more work, just by having you collect better. And we can give you this opportunity to collect better and start collecting faster. Once there's money going through that, there's no way they're going to quit. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah. So with your experience with payment I should have done more research, but I really wanted to like get your opinion first, because I was going to go either the social media like, hey, look, you can do your social media posts, Google page, Facebook, Instagram from here. But
contractors don't give a shit about any of that. They're not exactly that. No way.
Yeah. I was really afraid you're going to say payments. I told him before, I was like, dude, he's going to say payments. I'm going to fucking hate my life. But with your experience with the payment stuff, what kind of, like, I know you have a lot of people who probably do it. What issues have you seen happen? Like, do they need their own bank account to like, or do you set them up a bank account? Is the payments through Go HighLevel? Because in my experience, it's like they have to set up their own Stripe account or their own Square account and then connect it to GHL. Because GHL is essentially the middleman with the payments, if I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they would have to set up their own, like whether it would be Stripe, Square, or something like that, correct?
Yeah. If they don't have some sort of payment processing, they're going to have some sort of payment processing for sure. One of the things, I don't know if you were able to tune into HighLevel's Level Up Day this year from the summit, but one of the things that Sean was very adamant about, it was we can connect to any payment processor. So he was like, if you have a payment processor that needs to be connected, you tell him yes. And the answer is yes. And we can get that done so damn fast. Because Sean, prior to HighLevel, spent time in that world. He knows that world. He knows how important all that stuff is. So they've got it. Yeah. They've got it figured out. And so he wants all of us to know that we can be payment processors. And there's a reason why. He's obviously, he's smart. He knows that payment processing is one of the stickiest, most lucrative services in the small business world. It's probably the most lucrative. The payment processing businesses are valued higher than SaaS companies, higher multiples than SaaS companies, because customers stick with it for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. They don't even question it. It's just, that's my payment processor. So, you absolutely want to figure this out.
What would your pitch be to a contractor? Because I just had a guy the other day and I talked about it. He's like, bro, like, why would I switch payment processors? I already have everything figured out with this. Like, why would I switch to your payment processor?
My pitch would not be anything about switching anything. I'm just going to give you a faster, easier way to do the transaction so that you can collect your money right away.
So even if they're already pre-set up, and this guy, like I had a guy yesterday, he's like, yeah, I'm already using Square. I use it for invoicing. I use it to collect payments. So I would just basically, because like, I guess if they're already at that level, I just don't know how to pitch it with like,
if they're at that level, it's a harder pitch for sure. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll just have to figure out a pitch it and look into it. Okay. Well, that's good. That gives me direction. I guess I'm going payments, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's the only thing to do. I'm just saying that right, of those things that you mentioned, I think that niche that you're talking about, it's going to be, that's got to be one of the hardest niches to actually get them actively using the software for anything. Like it is. And especially when you start talking social media. I mean, these guys, social media, like I don't want to spend 0 seconds on social media. So I think the thing that they're actually going to use is, you just put more money in my pocket. Great.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. And then Yeah. So I think Mike asked you this question, but they only give out those Go High Level awards once a year, huh?
I think so.
Fucking unbelievable. I missed mine by a month. That's so shitty. I want to wait a whole year. God damn it. That is unbelievable.
Well, maybe
All right.
maybe by the time Summit rolls around, you can level up to the next level.
I'm already. I got my eyes on that diamond and platinum freaking award, man.
Nice.
At this point, it's like, goddamn.
Good,
But
man.
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go look into
Absolutely.
payment processors and figure out a whole freaking system around that, I guess.
Awesome. All right. Thanks.
All right, brother.
Talk
Later,
to
man.
you
Have a good
soon,
one.
man. Let's see here. Tide says our callers are doing 75 calls per day per time zone, 3 days a week. Nice. Still high on Boomerang as a foot in the door offer. Yes, I am, Bob. I think Boomerang is fantastic. Have you got a URL for the tools you're mentioning for the cold calls answer? Alan, that is Kixie, I believe is what you're asking about. Let me, yep. Go and just drop that into the comments. This sounds very, yeah. Doran is talking about our process for handling brush off rejections. Absolutely, Doran. Great minds think alike. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Like the short-term push to fill the pipeline. I can see cold calling as a way of filling the pipeline, generating revenue while getting paid to get quality feedback. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, cold calling is far down my list of favorite things to do in today's world, but it still has a ton of value for the person who's really committed to doing it, and you know, it absolutely still works. So awesome. No buyer's remorse, total over deliver on value. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Tide says for the agency, the short-term push is awesome, but in other instances, a slow, ongoing cold works too. Totally. And the reality is, Dorn, of course, once you do that initial push, is there still, especially if you're a dedicated full-time salesperson, is there still room for doing some cold calling in your day? Absolutely, always. And certainly if your business is not doing a real effective job with marketing and bringing you leads and bringing you interest, then absolutely. Oh yeah, Dave, it's just, these calls are always just immediately available on our YouTube channel right after the call. This is all just live stream on YouTube. And if you just look on YouTube, all of our calls are right there. Okay. Want the transcription auto appended when the call is completed and Go High Level. Yeah, I believe that will happen the way that you want it to, probably within the next month or two. Pitch for payment processor. Do you really want to rely on just one payment processor when I have a secondary one that's quick and easy to complement the one you have? Yep. I have a prospect who's interested. I have a follow-up call with them next week. They are not sure if they will keep the company or sell it. It is a very established business, well-established business. That's cool. I mean, either way, I think it's a good opportunity because even if they sell it, you know, most likely the new owner is not just going to come in and rip out systems. Let's see here. Mike says free trial periods time frame. I'm not a big fan on trial periods for, you know, free trial offers in this market unless you know that you can do something that you can deliver value right away so that they can see the impact right away. So as an example, Review Harvest, Clay, that we interviewed, you know, recently, he does a free trial thing if he needs to, where he just says, look, let me generate the first 30 reviews for you at no cost type of thing. So, and that's because he knows if he asks the right qualifying questions of the prospect, he knows that he's going to be able to do that very quickly. And his onboarding process, remember, his onboarding process is that he essentially just logs on and takes complete control, gets them all set up like in 45 minutes in a live call, and then the system is working. So he has near total control on making sure that he can deliver that value really quickly. So if you have something like that where you can do that, I think that that works. But if it's something where you're expecting them to like get in, play around with the software, try and see the value of it themselves, anything like that, I would not do it. AI employee, yeah, AI employee, you could do it. Yep, especially since right now HighLevel's offering that for free. Yeah. Dawson, my man, how you doing, sir?
Good. How about you?
Good. Look at that. AC/DC headband. I love it.
I'm gonna get some AC/DC tickets soon.
Nice. That's awesome.
They just announced the tour today.
That's cool, man.
I got my-
Totally. No, I love it. Totally different genre of music. Do you know who Andrea Bocelli is?
Andrea Bocelli?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he the blind guy, the Italian
Yeah.
singer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
just saw
great.
him. I just saw him this week in San Diego. It was incredible.
Oh, cool. He's just got such a smooth voice, and then
Unreal.
when he does that duet with the female singer, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, he's incredible. It seems so effortless. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do for you?
I'm just trying to like figure out this strategy because like tickets are halfway sold out in Detroit, so I have to go to Cleveland, and I'm going to grab the tickets in Cleveland. I'll probably have to get them. You know, you do events too, or you help with website events. So I find that most are you either get them in the first week or the week before the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things are just it's gonna be hit and miss.
Yep, that's true. Absolutely. Yeah, in San Diego, the sales for live events, it goes whoop, and then the U down the bottom, and then up again every time. You can count on it like clockwork.
Yeah. I might put it on the old credit card. I rarely use my credit card, so I have to I'm going to talk to my bank today to find out if it's a good decision, and yeah, to see how it goes.
That's cool.
Hey, I was on here. I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, that's awesome, man. How are things on the business front?
Things are great. Yeah, thank you for giving me that pep talk last time. I talked to my my mentor. I'm still waiting for the keys, but I just drop in by the times of 9 to 5 and go into the office there to do some work. And every day's been networking. Every day, it's like some people have pieces of the puzzle to get. Some people have a great product, but they don't know how to present it. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to get in front of people. But also people are very charismatic, but they don't have the structure and order.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I'm the second one. And so I'm just keep building that structure, the systems to have behind it.
That's awesome. And ultimately what will probably be important to you is, that what you're talking about is super common dynamic in business. And so that's usually why there's a number one and a number two, right? And the number one is usually the more charismatic CEO that you see out there in the world. And the number two is usually the more behind the scenes operational person that's very good at systems and processes and supporting all of those wild ideas and promises that the charismatic leader makes, right? So that's a super, super common arrangement. A lot of people don't know. I have my number two I've been working with for 20 years now. And still working with them. So, that's a very, very common thing. And, hopefully at some point you get to the size where you can, maybe find that person, have that support for you.
Yeah. So I'm just, I have some good, well into the business community here, and eventually I could find some people to help me with that. Again, the strategy would be, I tried to get some physical booths in marketplace so I can get to some winter markets to sell the physical photos. And I've been learning more about the digital side with Photoshop, Lightroom, and getting a digital strategy onto the web here. So once I can just take a step back and organize things, I have that in place. And of course, I have the great product. Just getting it out there.
Awesome. Keep pushing forward. Keep on trucking.
Yep. Okay. I got my Highway to Hell CD.
Nice.
I got the Back in Black.
Nice.
I have the Family Jewels.
That's awesome. Just go get those tickets.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Awesome.
I gotta keep my head on straight here, though.
I love it. All right, man. Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That wraps up office hours. Dawson is like my my anchor on these things. Always fun to wrap up with. Thank you, Dawson, for being here. I hope everybody got some value out of this call. I hope you had a great week, and hopefully you have some great plans for the weekend. We will see you back here, same time, same place next week, I believe. This is December, so we're going into the holidays, so the schedule will start to get a little bit crazy, but I plan on generally being around. So again, if you have not made it into our new community, please make sure and do so. And we will see you on a future office hours call. Okay. Thank you so much for your business, for your attention, and being a part of the community. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.